Do we all not think that it's a matter of time? And I'm going to say bank on it, brought to you by Commercial Bank, that Kentucky is going to falter at some point because Mark Stoops is either going to get another job or they're going to lose patience in him constantly winning 8 or 9 games. It's going to happen at some point, right? Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank.
Yes, it's going to happen at some point. And I think it's going to get worse now because Kentucky can't manipulate the schedule the way they used to. Look, let's talk about what's really helped Kentucky under the Mark Stoops era. Mark Stoops went to Kentucky in 2013. Well, Dave, as you and I know, from 2013 to 2023, that 11-year period before the SEC changed, the SEC East was just way down. I mean, if Georgia wasn't great, there was no team in the SEC East competing for anything, right? During that time period.
Agreed.
So he cashed in on a bad SEC East to guarantee himself 3 wins a year, depending on who was at its worst during that time. Kentucky's crosstown interdivisional rival was always Mississippi State. Traditionally was the worst team in the West, right?
Yes.
And then Kentucky and then he would schedule 3 patsies non-conference, and that's his path to 6 wins every year. Well, now with the new SEC format, just for straight 1 through 16, it's a lot harder of a path for him to get to 6 and 7 and 8 wins. And I think that's kind of the issue. And so I think that Kentucky, Mark Stoops, as things get tougher, and particularly, let's think about this. Dave, what if the SEC goes to 9 games? Mark Stoops is screwed, isn't he?
Exactly what I was thinking. Kentucky, they're the Dallas Cowboys of college football. They're only going to get to slight relevance, and they're not going to win a championship. I mean, if you're okay with that, Kentucky fans really don't have a choice but to be okay with it because the in-state, you talk about the in-state talent base in the state of Tennessee is getting better. It is. It used to be bad. It's still not great. I swear, I think I could have played high school football at a high level in Kentucky.
Oh, probably.
I've got 2 rebuilt knees.
And by the way, this points out the biggest difference between the SEC and the Big Ten. Indiana just had an amazing. Kentucky and Indiana are almost like similar programs regional wise.
Great.
Got it. Indiana just went 11-1 in the Big Ten. Kentucky is never going 11-1 in this SEC. Ever, ever, ever.
He said it. Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
All right, bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank. Mark Stoops will have how many more successful years? Let's make this a poll question as well. At Kentucky, will it be 1, 2, 3, or 4? It's not going to be 4. Go ahead and tell you that. I'm always of the mindset going into the year it's going to be 1.
It's going to be 1, and it's because of what sparked this topic, which is, and this is what led us to talk about this, guys, which is Vince Marrow, who has been with Mark Stoops since 2013. He's been there from the start as the associate tight ends coach and the associate head coach. He is basically Mark Stoops' right-hand man, the way David Cutcliffe was Philip Fulmer's right-hand man. And Fulmer leaned on, this, Dave, and even after Cutcliffe, didn't Fulmer lean on Chavis to do so much for the program that he wouldn't do a lot of times? And
yeah, he definitely even told a group of reporters one time that he wanted to be more of a delegator, which I was like, that's a red flag. And then he hired Dave Clawson.
Yes, exactly. Vince Marrow was Mark Stoops' rock, leaned on him for everything. He just left to take the general manager job at Louisville. Now, Jeff Brom has wanted Vince Marrow for a while, but this is happening right now because the ship is sinking, and he knows the ship is sinking. You don't bolt a place of 13 years like this for this job. And so I'm just going to be honest. Vince Marrow leaving is hardcore evidence that he knows Mark Stoops is on borrowed time and he needs to get another job and get out of there before it all falls apart.
I tend to agree with that, and I think we get into conspiracies a little much, but I tend to agree with you there. Just because with the new schedule and you can't manufacture wins, if they go to 9, it is done. What's a great season going to be at Kentucky? Is it going to be 4 wins, 5 wins if they go to a 9-game conference schedule?
I mean, at best, they were 4-8 last year. Let's just go to the conference. Let's just go to the schedule this year, by the way. And they don't, and it's only 8 games this year. Okay, Toledo, Eastern Michigan. All right, they're winning those 2 games. And Tennessee Tech. Okay, they got those 3 non-conference wins. But Dave, look at their conference schedule. Ole Miss. I mean, unless Lane Kiffin's team lays an egg, they're not beating Ole Miss, right?
No.
At South Carolina, I mean, South Carolina has the best quarterback in the SEC. They're not winning that game. At Georgia, they're not winning that game. They're not beating Texas. They never beat Tennessee. Florida's better talent-wise, and they have to go to Auburn, and they have to go to Louisville. So I could easily see another 4-8 season where they only beat Toledo, Eastern Michigan, Tennessee Tech, and then maybe Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt. But even that's not a guarantee with Diego Pavia. 3-9 is very much on the table.
Yeah, I'll take it a step further. I'll say bank on it. Stoops is gone after this.
I think so too. I think Stoops is gone after this year.
Now, I will disagree with one thing that we had in our message. Lindsay said Stoops won't leave UK willingly. It would be a lateral move if he did. UK is content going 8-4, 9-3. I don't think he's going to get there. And I could see a situation pretty easily where Steve Sarkisian takes a job in the NFL. Texas job comes open and Mark Stoops is easy hire. I'm not picking Texas out of nowhere, but I think there are a lot of schools out there that could make Mark Stoops is a really easy hire. He's going to be solid. He's not going to do a bad job, right?
Correct. But see, here's the problem with Mark Stoops in Kentucky, and this is where their issue is. Mark Stoops' success in Kentucky, it was a paper tiger. We agree with that, right? It was built on just cashing in on really bad competition that he got to beat up on. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
He has leveraged that success to basically start public fights with the basketball program for more money to be spent on the football program. And
he has. You're absolutely right. And that's not wise because, listen, I think a lot of Kentucky fans would rather make the Final Four than win a national championship in football. And I barely say that exaggerate.
100% of the time. They'll take 3-9 in football if they're winning it in basketball. And so I think that Stoops leveraging that money to say, look, I'm taking them 10-3. Look at what I'm doing here. Fine. But the minute they're going 3-9 or 4-8, which they will be doing, Kentucky's going to be like, we just spent all this money on the football program, deviated it from what we care about basketball. And you got into a public war of words with people like John Calipari. So you could have your success and you're not even having your success now. They're not going to be happy about that.
David Speaks says Kentucky should recruit Nashville, Louisville, Cincinnati, Chicago, and Indianapolis, and they would go 7-5 most years. Look at Wisconsin as a model for them. Agreed, but David, going into those cities, Kentucky's at best number 2. You go into Nashville, you're probably number 3 behind Tennessee and now surging Vanderbilt. You go into Cincinnati, Cincinnati's a respectable program now. I think a lot of kids would rather stay there.
And Ohio State, by the way, is still going to recruit Cincinnati too.
Yeah, Chicago's a hodgepodge. Indianapolis is a hodgepodge too. I agree that they should, but I should win the lottery.
The Wisconsin model, one, the lower levels of the Big Ten are easier to beat up on than the lower levels of the SEC. And here's the thing. This is the other part. A lot of states, and Wisconsin is one of these states, may not have great recruiting, but they have something they do well. And Dave, you know this, like the Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, you can find elite offensive linemen out of those states, right? Even if the recruiting's not good. You can find elite offensive linemen, those corn-fed like guys, and you can turn them in and you can build a program around that. What does Kentucky have that you can build around?
A lot. They do have a lot of quarterbacks.
Do they?
Yeah. I mean, they do because they run a lot of ever since the Hal Mummy days, the high schools run what Hal Mummy ran, which was ahead of the curve. I think we both agree. And
I agree. Yeah.
Mike Leach was running. So Stoops at LSU would be better than Kelly.
That's possible because I think LSU could run a simplified offense and be a defensive team and dominate anybody because they would get so much talent.
Yeah. Eric, I think that's a great point. Just be a really defensive minded and move forward. I mean, you were pretty high on Brian Kelly. Are you off that bandwagon?
I'm falling off it pretty fast, largely because, defense is Brian Kelly's specialty, and LSU's defense has been what's held them back the last 3 or 4 years. It's just been ridiculous to watch And, I think when you look at LSU's national title with Ed Orgeron and you look at Joe Burrow and that offense, but that team was loaded defensively, right? And it's, traditional LSU teams that win it, they are dominant on defense, absolutely dominant. And the biggest reason, offense is what you need to build up your program. But if you're in a place where you can get the most talent, you should have a defensive program because defense wins on talent, offense wins on scheme.